I'm Kimberly Lawson Roby, and this is the Woman God Created You to Be podcast. The Woman God Created You to Be podcast is for the woman who wants to become the very best she can be in all areas of her life, and it is my sincere prayer that together you and I will be able to do just that. Thank you so much for taking this journey with me, and here's today's episode. So, in episode 3 of this podcast, I talked about suffering in silence, mentally and emotionally, and how we need to remember that self-care is not a bad thing, it's a good thing. Today, though, I want to focus on me time and how important it is for us to carve out those particular periods of time on a regular basis. Why? Because for the most part, we really do tend to place ourselves last on our to-do lists. Or worse, we don't even include ourselves or our own wants and desires on the list at all. We simply focus on everyone we care about and what their needs are, and we spend lots of time focusing on our jobs, careers, ministries, and other responsibilities. Sometimes we do it because that's all we've ever done, and sometimes we do it because somewhere along the way, we decided that making ourselves a priority on any given day would also mean that we're being selfish. But what I'm here to tell you is that this philosophy couldn't be further from the truth because, ladies, when we don't take care of ourselves, we eventually become overwhelmed, exhausted, frustrated, and yes, we even become resentful. I know for me, there have been times when I have worked sunup to sundown, by choice, mind you, yet when I find myself feeling so tired or even burdened to some degree because of having way too much to do, I resent having done any of the work at all. And sometimes I have even resented being asked to do too many things for too many people all on the same day or even in the same week, even though I could have easily said no and passed on doing them all together. I mean, is this something you can relate to? If so, then it's time for both you and me to make ourselves a much bigger priority. It's time for us to self-reflect and evaluate what we're doing daily. What we must do is find balance as it relates to our family, friends, work, and our individual selves. Now, of course, there is no doubt that all 4 areas of our lives deserve to have at least some of our time. But when we give the first 3 areas 80 to 100% of that time, which means leaving only 0 to 20% of that time for ourselves, this is when our emotional scales become way too unbalanced. The weight becomes unbearable, burdensome, and uneven, and this is the reason we need to stop excluding ourselves from our own to-do list, and more important, we must schedule some me time accordingly. We must set aside some time each and every day, even if it's only for 15 to 20 minutes. In the last episode, I talked about going to a quiet, secluded place to pray, and if you haven't already begun doing so, this might be a great way for you to begin spending some of your time away from the hustle and bustle of everyday life. Because believe me, not only do you deserve some time for yourself, but taking that kind of much-needed time will make you feel so much better spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. You'll feel better and you'll become much happier about your life as a whole. Now for the 3 things you can do as it relates to today's topic. Number 1, make self-care a top priority. I know doing this can be tough, mainly because as women, our nurturing spirits lead us more toward taking care of our spouses, children, and our other family members. But taking out a little time for yourself doesn't mean you'll need to neglect your husband, children, friends, or even your job responsibilities. Instead, it simply means that you are now going to begin taking better care of yourself so that you can, in fact, be here for all the people I just mentioned, and you will find yourself feeling refreshed and looking forward to spending lots of quality time with them. And best of all, you'll be able to do it stress-free. Because here's the thing, if you don't take care of you, eventually you won't be able to take care of anyone else anyway. Number 2, remember that taking some me time doesn't mean you're being selfish. So when I first began taking some me time, this is something I had to continually remind myself of because the last thing any of us want is to become selfish. We also don't want to walk around feeling guilty about anything we're doing. Still, what we have to remember too is that there are 24 hours in a given day and that taking 15 to 20 minutes per day or even a half hour for yourself isn't a whole lot of time at all. In fact, Even choosing one day per month to have 2 to 3 hours of me time isn't a lot of time either, and believe me when I say you truly do deserve it. And number 3, do what you love while you still can. So if there is one thing I have learned during our unfortunate pandemic, it is the fact that life is even shorter than what we already believed it to be, which means the worst thing we can do right now is live our lives completely out of balance. So please, if you love to read, pick up that book you bought a long time ago, the one you haven't found the time to sit down and begin reading. Or place an order for a book that you've been wanting to buy, or pick it up from one of your favorite bookstores. And you could also check it out at your local library. Or what about your favorite TV series? You know, the one you've been recording week after week, yet you still haven't taken time out of your busy schedule to enjoy it? Why not watch a couple of episodes? Or maybe you enjoy watching short motivational videos on YouTube or listening to a different podcast every morning. If so, I hope you'll begin doing exactly that. Because again, life is very short, and the best thing we can do is to enjoy it as much as we can and as often as we can every single day. And finally, here's a scripture to help you even further. And he said to them, "Come away by yourselves to a secluded place and rest a little while, for there were many people coming and going, and they did not even have time to eat." Mark chapter 6, verse 31, New American Standard Bible. Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode. And as always, I pray that our time together has been a blessing to you in at least some way. I also hope that you'll subscribe to the podcast and share it with others. And in the meantime, please continue to stay safe and know that I am praying all of God's wonderful blessings for you and your family always. Thank you so much for listening. And if you'd like to receive further encouragement, please check out the companion book for this podcast, The Woman God Created You to Be, Finding Success Through Faith, Spiritually, Personally, and Professionally. Also, if you'd like to discuss today's topic or share a personal story, please visit me on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Then, so you won't miss a single episode, please subscribe to the podcast or follow it through your favorite listening app or website. And if you would, please write a review and recommend the show to others. Until next time, much love, God bless, and thanks again.